Tech, twice weekly, episode 29. Welcome to Tech Twice Weekly for November 24th, 2014. This is your source for the most important technology news stories and discussion every Monday and Thursday evening. I'm your host, Ben White, and I'm joined by the man, Eric Fee. How you doing tonight?
I have arrived.
Well, excellent, because if you hadn't arrived, I'd be doing the show solo.
True. It's quite the observation you have made.
Well, with that deep and direct insight, we'll get into our top stories. Getting us rolling this week is news from Android Central on T-Mobile agreeing to show their customers the speeds they're actually getting on their mobile devices, throttled or not. Shocking, I know. The statement, released by the FCC, explains that T-Mobile will begin offering customers a link to a specific speed test which will give accurate results even if they have been throttled for going over their high-speed data limit for the month. Previously, T-Mobile would modify speed test results to show the potential speed of the network instead of the speeds the customer is actually getting. This change comes as T-Mobile also announced their Music Freedom program that was originally introduced back in June is going live. The program includes 27 different music streaming services which will no longer be counting toward customers' data caps. All customers currently under the Simple Choice plans are included in this program, which exempts data sent to SoundCloud, Google Play Music, Pandora, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, to name a few. For the full list, we'll have a link to the Digital Trends article in our show notes. Now, you're our kind of resident T-Mobile customer, Eric. What do you think about all this?
I think that I'm getting ripped off because they're charging me for YouTube.
You know, it's a good question. I wonder if with Google's YouTube Music key rolling out now, if that'll end up getting added into this package.
I highly doubt it. The amount of data I can use with YouTube in a short amount of time is extreme.
I suppose, yeah, with the HD quality variants and things you can choose to stream.
Yeah, and I don't like to admit, but I watch a huge amount of YouTube. It's actually a little freaky for a lot of people because of how much I watch. So it would be not financially responsible for them to allow me to watch YouTube for free. Everyone else, probably. Me, no.
The one I was really happy to see on here is Google Play Music, because since I have all of my music, my personal library uploaded to Google Play Music, it means I could stream my personal catalog without using data on T-Mobile, which is a pretty tempting proposition, because right now I don't tend to stream a lot of music because on Ting I'm paying per megabyte, and so I'm really not interested in chewing up all that much roaming data. Or actually, that's not roaming, that's the wrong term, but just data in general.
I would love if Dia.fm or something was on here because I listen to that a lot. I would also love if I could stream for mobile for like data free from my Amazon Amazon Music. Dia.fm, digitally imported.
Oh, they actually are.
They are.
Digitally imported is one of the 27.
Oh, I see. It's listed in non-alphabetical order. Good job.
Yes, they are in an arbitrary order.
But, dude, dope.
Yeah, so digitally imported is now data free, which means the question I'd have is, does T-Mobile have a way of distinguishing if you're streaming digitally imported high quality streams or their standard streams?
I would think so, but it would be ridiculous not to allow streaming of the high quality streams too.
Because
The
if data's no question, I'll stream high quality all day long.
the default high quality for streaming on mobile for them is AAC 128, which sounds pretty good. Although I really prefer the 256 MP3. Um, I don't know. For some reason, I think it sounds different. I may just be crazy, but either way, the 128 AAC is pretty good on bandwidth for the most part. Um, but they could tell technically.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. And I mean, you're going to be the one to report back to us. Let us know if your bill all of a sudden streaming the high quality audio ends up being $300.
Well, luckily that won't happen. It'll just be after about 4 days into my billing cycle, I will be throttled down to like 2G speeds.
Oh, that's right. Because with T-Mobile, they don't actually cut you off; they just slow you down.
Yeah, which I've experienced being throttled due to data expenditure once, and I will say that it is not a fate that I wish upon anyone.
Well, according to reports from the Next Web, Sony Pictures has become victims of a hacking attempt that has taken their computer systems offline. News of the hack has spread following a Reddit thread containing an apparent screenshot that is being shown, or I should say, showing a message from the hacker group pound GOP, which supposedly is being displayed on all affected computers. The message claims that the hacker group has obtained all of Sony's internal data, including their secrets and top secrets, and threatened to reveal them if Sony doesn't obey the hackers by 11 p.m. GMT today. Variety is also covering this story, and according to their sources, Sony employees have been warned not to connect to the company's corporate network and not to check email. Sony has not yet made any official public statements. What do you think about this? I know you've dabbled around in some networking and some white gray hat hacking from time to time. What does this mean? What does this all mean to you?
Looks like nothing. Um, you know, Sony is such a huge company, and they have data, both public, private, and secret, all over their company. Each, it's departments are split up, and I really can't imagine how they could have all of anything. And it sounds to me like it's a pretty big load of mumbo jumbo. And not only that, but I don't see what their demands are. Without their demands, it might be, it's a good question. I'm not sure how far they could go with having the quote unquote secret data, but who knows?
Right. I thought that was kind of interesting too. Well, first off, who has secrets and top secrets? I mean, it sounds like something a bunch of kids would say. Which, well, let's be honest, most hacker groups probably are kids, not kids in the disrespectful sense, but kids in the age sense, as the ones who are curious and have time to actually figure all this stuff out.
Yeah, they would have got away with it all too if it wasn't them pesky kids.
But I'm actually looking forward to the follow-up on this story personally because, I mean, let's be honest, Sony's not one. There's no apparent demands unless they've followed up with Sony directly. But two, I don't think Sony's going to follow up and do anything. They're just going to take their data offline. If it's been stolen, they'll deal with it.
Yeah, who knows? I'm really more interested in Chrome's new bookmark thing.
Well, we'll get to that later. I think. Wait, a bookmark thing. We don't have that in the rundown. What are you talking about?
I'm just looking at Google Chrome right now. They have like a new button appeared on the bookmarks bar that says bookmarks with a star next to it. And when you go to it, it's all web page. It's all fancy for managing your bookmarks and sharing them. Ooh, fancy. And it's also reminding me how many bookmarks I actually have. It looks like one of these folders has easily 200, 250 bookmarks.
I don't have that button. Are you running Canary?
Beta channel.
There you go.
That's where
Okay.
all the awesome people hang out. It's fancy. It's fancy stuff. Tell you what.
Well, you know what's also fancy? CNET. CNET shares that Kickstarter project. You like that transition? Real smooth. Smooth as
Uh,
butter.
Talk about segue. They're gonna be writing epic poems in your name.
Well, CNET shares that a Kickstarter project called Blood Sport has had their fundraising campaign suspended. The Blood Sport project is an effort to enhance the experience of blood donation, hoping to encourage more people to volunteer to donate by adding competitive gaming to the mix. Their concept is a system where your video game character, or when your video game character takes damage in the game, the system draws blood into a donation bag. Repeat until you've reached the recommended donation volume or have rage quit out and storm off with a needle in your arm. Bloodsport's Kickstarter campaign was launched on November 18th and suspended earlier this afternoon after 39 backers had contributed nearly $3,500 Canadian. CNET reached out to Kickstarter asking for more information on why the project was suspended, but Kickstarter's only statement was to say that they do not comment on project suspensions. What do you think? Would you donate more blood if you could play a little Counter-Strike while you're doing it?
Unfortunately, I am incapable of donating blood. So there's that. But
Sure, but on premise.
no.
You don't like the idea of something vampirishly sucking blood out of you when you get a headshot?
I think that I have a better way to incentivize giving blood. Give people money.
Yeah, I mean it works for plasma. That's very true. I've heard people speculate on that before, and the only argument I've ever heard about it is that volume of blood asked for is so much that they do not have the financial resources to be able to afford to pay people. I mean,
That's
whether we're
that may be true.
prioritizing our finances properly is, I suppose, a different discussion.
That may be true, but also they could prioritize giving people money in areas where it's traditionally hard to get donations from, and leave it basically giving for free in other places. I mean, there's a lot of places where it's hard to get donations, or it's hard for people to get up the muster to do donations, or they will only donate plasma for money. Do they pay money for platelets?
Not that I'm aware of, at least not in normal circumstances. There may be exceptions.
But I mean, if you really want to get more people to give blood, trying to drum up some game might not be the best way, especially because a lot of people give blood don't know anything about computers or games or don't care. It might be better to just be like, give blood because it saves lives, and also, hey, if we're in a crappy neighborhood that doesn't usually get many people to donate, here's $10.
Well, and you're right. I think the majority of people who currently donate wouldn't be enticed by a video game, but the angle here was hopefully to bring in new people to donate blood, fresh blood, so to speak. And I don't know. I think there's a place where this could be successful. Like if you were to roll this out in a blood bus at a college campus, for example, you could probably get quite a few people to show up, even just for the thrill of watching their buddy lose blood when they get shot or something like that.
Maybe. I'm still thinking it's a misguided effort. I'm also not sure if it's what Kickstarter was meant to fund, anyways.
That's a fair argument, and that's my guess as to why it's suspended, is that it's not really what Kickstarter wants to be associated with, but at the same time, if I was a betting man, and I would put money down on this project showing up on Indiegogo in the next couple of days.
Yeah, it sounds more like a donation campaign than than financial fundraiser for a company to produce a product. So if it's the case that you're trying to get donated money, Kickstarter is also the place to go for that.
Very true. And that I haven't gone over their campaign page in detail, but that could easily explain why they shut them down, not on the quality or content of the project, but on the purpose of the money being asked for. Because that would actually be in direct violation of their terms of service. Moving on, GigaOM is covering more trouble for Sony as reports come in that their Android backup and restore application has been compromised by the Heart Hacker Group. The app itself is a simple backup and restore tool that's pre-installed on many of Sony's Android devices. It allows the device to back up device settings and data to a micro SD card. The compromised app, on the other hand, while apparently not directly modifying devices or data, requests all available Android permissions. This means whomever is in control of the app could use it to access everything on your device, from looking at your pictures to making phone calls. Early reports are saying the app was compromised by the hacker group by publishing their version of the application to the Android App Store under a different icon, but with the same internal signature name as the official Sony app, taking advantage of a vulnerability in Google's verification process. This caused Android devices to see the new app as an update to Sony's backup and restore application. Fortunately, the app appears to have been removed from the Google Play App Store as of noon Pacific time. The Verge is passing along Slack's announcement on a change to their privacy policy. If you're unfamiliar with Slack, it is a cloud-based messaging service aimed at businesses, allowing employees to communicate in IRC-like channels or private messages using either their web-based application or Android or iOS devices. Slack's popularity has been growing rapidly over the last several months, and as such, they've announced a new tier of service called Slack Plus, which they plan to roll out in January. The new tier is aimed at large enterprises and offers system administrators new tools for managing their implementation of the Slack service. While a majority of the tools and features offered by Slack Plus aren't relevant to many users, one very much is. Company running under the Slack Plus plan can now request every message that an employee has sent since the business activated the Slack Plus tier. This includes both public and private messages, as well as a change log history for those messages if you've edited them. Don't panic quite yet, however, as Slack's new privacy policy also makes it clear that companies which wish to take advantage of this feature, which is off by default for all new Slack Plus accounts, must request in writing to Slack asking for it to be enabled and justifying the request with proof of the business's policy requiring them to have the ability to see all employees' communication information. Then, if Slack approves the request, all Slack users within the company will receive a notification alerting them of the feature being enabled. TechCrunch is reporting that Google Chrome will soon be retiring support for Netscape plugin APIs and begin blocking them. Google has been recommending developers move away from the aging API over a year ago, but there has been a handful of popular plugins that have not yet made the jump. These include Microsoft's Silverlight, the Unity engine, Google's own Google Earth, as well as the older Google Talk plugin and Facebook plugins. Well, Most of these plugins have seen a drastic drop in popularity since Google announced their plans to end support for the Netscape plugin API. Microsoft Silverlight still maintains an 11% of Chrome's user base who use it at least once per month. Now, educated guesses suspect that this is due to Netflix originally requiring the use of Silverlight. Even Netflix, though, has moved away from the Silverlight plugin being required. That all being said, Google has made it clear that while the Chrome browser will begin blocking Netscape API plugins by default in January, users can still manually re-enable them. However, once September 15th rolls around, Chrome will be fully discontinuing support for the plugins in all versions of the browser. And our last story of the day, as privately owned drones become more and more popular while also becoming more and more affordable, pressure has been growing for the FAA to formalize policies regarding their use. Reed Wright reports that according to the Wall Street Journal, the FAA's guidelines for commercial drone use may be much more strict than originally expected. The Wall Street Journal has apparently gotten a hold of a draft copy of the FAA's planned guidelines from an anonymous source, of course. According to the review, the prospective rules outline requirements for drone operators to hold a pilot's license, as well as banning drone flight outside of daylight hours. This is a drastic change from the FAA's current requirements, which only require commercial drone operators to obtain approval on a case-by-case basis. Of course, this is still an early draft version of the FAA's guidelines, and they aren't expected to be finalized until September 2015 at the earliest. So there's still time for a lot of changes and discussion to happen. All right, those are our top stories tonight. So that moves us on to our tech toys you wish you could buy. And I've just got one tonight that I want to look at. And it's kind of interesting. Ever since I stumbled on it, I've kind of been on the fence about actually pulling the trigger on supporting it. It's pretty simple. It's called the Smart Wallet. And what the Smart Wallet does is it's a wallet. It holds your cash, your cards, your traditional things you'd put in a wallet, but it also carries a Bluetooth locator and a backup battery for your smartphone. Not a massive battery, but 1,000 milliamp hour battery. So, when you're on the go, if you need a quick charge or just to turn the phone back on so you can check in on something, you can do that with just the help of the wallet you're already carrying with you. Now, the other nice part is the Bluetooth locator, so if you lose your wallet, you can find it with the phone. And so that's really helpful too. Now, if you lose your phone, the wallet's not going to help you in reverse, but I've definitely been in situations where I've set my wallet down and can't find it, and something like this could be useful. Now, the project is funds are being raised on Indiegogo. They're aiming for a $10,000 goal on a 60-day project. Right now, they're at $1,486, and they're going for a flexible funding campaign. So keep that in mind if you're interested. All money donated will go to the campaign organizers, even if their goal is not reached. What do you think about this? I mean, we all have a need for a cell phone battery now and again.
Excuse me. So I think it's neat, but it's quite expensive for what it does. We looked at the Bluetooth key locator the other day, which was $25. Now that's the price I'm talking about. For $75, you can get quite a wallet. I have a, as they say in the article, glorified money clip already. I was going to show it, but I forgot that we probably get no YouTube views. It has a money clip on the outside and a card holder on the inside, and it's really simple. Um, and I use it because the other wallets I was having had trouble holding. The other minimalist wallets I was using had trouble holding as much currency as I was taking around. And they also caused my cards to rub together, and it rubbed like the some of the numbers off and stuff, like the coloring for the numbers. It was annoying. Anyways, the new wallet I have is better, but it costs like $15. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, $15 is pretty reasonable for a wallet. And is it leather and nice, or is it just a cheapy like fabric wallet?
It's some kind of leather-like substance.
Some man-made leather-based material?
Fine by me, man. Less cows gotta die for my wallet.
Well, and how long have you been rocking with that wallet?
Oh gosh, probably a year now.
That's not bad. A $15 wallet that holds up for a year plus? That's actually impressive.
The money clip thing works pretty well too. It's just a magnetic flap.
Right. But
Um,
what more do you need? I mean, you're holding cash.
that's what I'm saying, which is what this wallet's about. I don't know about 90 bucks, or whatever, because what more do I need than what I got? The idea of locating it is cool. It's very cool, but I don't think it's $100 cool.
Right. And that the locator part to me seemed kind of gimmicky, especially because I've seen a lot of other products that offer this for much less. I mean, realistically, you could buy the $25 key fob, put it in your wallet, and now your wallet has a locator.
Yeah.
But I like the battery aspect. I do like that a lot. Although for $75, I 1,000 milliamp is nothing.
Yeah, and you can buy battery backup charger things are becoming really popular. And also, what I think is I don't really want to plug my wallet into my computer every day.
Oh, to charge?
Yeah, or worry, well, my smartphone's at 60%. Can I get out the door? My wallet might not be charged.
Now, one thing though, we're talking about the price, and you can get in on this wallet for $75 as an early bird special right now. 11 out of the limited 100 have been claimed. Um, but what really gets me is that in the campaign, they have stated the full retail price for this wallet, once it's out of its fundraising phase, is going to be $115.
Ouch.
Yes, $115 for a nice, I'm not going to say it's great, it's not ugly or terrible, but it's just a generic wallet with a money clip, a small battery, and a little Bluetooth chip inside. Is that worth $115?
It's a good question. I don't think so.
Right? And I mean, I can understand, but the other issue I have with this, and there's no way to know about this without getting into whatever their internal testing has been, but is longevity. I'm rough on my wallet. I carry a full leather wallet from Coach that my wife bought me for my birthday about 2 or 3 years back, and it's great. I love it. It's just a nice, simple wallet made out of real, genuine leather. But you know what? That sucker has been rounded and molded to my ass. I sit on that thing all day long.
You know,
Last
one might say that it's bad to sit in your wallet. It's bad for your back. You should put it in your pocket.
This is true. But that aside, I don't know how I feel about sitting on a battery.
What could possibly go wrong?
Right. What is that burning sensation on my backside? Oh, that's the lithium ion battery is cracked open.
And it's about to put another hole in your butt.
I mean, there's just some. I put this on here purposely intending to rag on it, but I love the idea. I love the principle, but the implementation just seems all wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have a Nexus 5, so I know all about running out of battery power. And I will say that I have alleviated this by strategically placing QI chargers everywhere. And so whenever I'm at work or at home, I can just set my phone down and it will start charging. And then when I pick it up, I'll be done. But I can understand someone who is not so future-proofing their life or does not have an office where they can just leave stuff around like QI chargers. Because either they work on their feet or they're out and about, needing some kind of more juice for their phone. But you can buy little 2,000 milliamp power banks or something for peanuts. So I don't really see the benefit of having it in a wallet, and not only that, but then I have to sit on it. So it's another thing that's going to be under my butt that's thicker and takes up more space. And lastly, lithium-based batteries are scary. I've never had one blow up, but I've seen what happens, and they will snap phones in half, and they can burn you severely. They can cause fires. It's scary. We've talked about my e-cigarette before. My e-cigarette I buy pretty decent stuff, but there are countless stories out there on forums and gatherings of people who bought a cheaper, just a cheapo knockoff unit that had a faulty battery or a cheap battery inside that just blew up on people. And that's scary, man. I don't know if I want one of those in my butt.
Right? That
Or in
overall
my
like a bad idea.
or in my pocket. Any more so than it has to be.
Right. Like it's one thing with my phone. My phone's contained and I've got some protection and I understand that technically the battery is contained in the wallet as well, but something about it seems different.
Yeah, see, it's got the credit card and the insurance card that I'll need when the battery explodes.
Right.
So when they cart me to the hospital and say, "Do you have insurance?" Say yes, and I would give you the card. It blew up with the thing that blew my leg off.
And well, the other part of it too is nothing about this says that it's replaceable. So once this small 1,000 milliamp battery starts, or milliamp hour battery starts going out and stops holding a charge, because I'm constantly charging it and draining it and charging it and draining it, what do I do? Do I throw my wallet away and buy another $120 wallet?
Well, yes. First of all, planned obsolescence, I called it. Second thing is that the amount you charge it and discharge it probably the rest of the wallet will probably wear out before the battery does, hopefully, but it really depends on where they get their cells and all that. And that you're not sitting on it every day.
Yeah, I don't know. I just can't get behind this product. I really want to. Like, I wanted to come at this product and dig into it a little bit and find something to prove myself wrong, but I haven't. And looking at Amazon, I can't even find 1,000 milliamp hour battery available. For $20, I can get a 10,000 milliamp dual charger, so I can charge two devices at once.
Hey
For
man,
$20, 10,000 milliamp.
if I want to lug around a giant piece of battery, I got a car jumper that has a USB socket in it. I'm pretty sure that would charge up my phone for about a bajillion years.
Well, with that picked to shreds, let's move on to our discussion topic for the evening. Now, we've got two topics here, and we might have time to talk about them both, but I'd like to give you the opportunity to pick one that sounds the most interesting to you. The first one is from Slash Gear, and it's about a recent BitTorrent survey that finds users are likely to pay for media, going against the common, at least commonly purported in the media, hype that BitTorrent users don't pay for things. The second article we've got for discussion is from Engadget, and it's going back to something we talked a little bit about a couple of shows ago about games getting released broken. Why are so many video games broken at launch or not launching out of early release? This leaning more on more and more games coming out and either having a 0-day patch right out of the gate, which is becoming super common for console releases, but also games like the Battlefield series is notorious for coming out and being terrible until several patches were released, making the game playable. What do you think? Either one of those ripe for discussion this evening?
I like the first one, but I will wrap up the second one real quick, saying
Sure.
that don't buy games that aren't done because then you're incentivizing and rewarding people for not finishing their work. When you buy a game that's done and been out for a little while, you will be happier. I don't buy games pre-release anymore, and I'm fine. It's great. All the people complaining about games and having busted, needing 0-day patches and all this. I don't need to because I'm not paid to test their games, so I don't want to.
But Eric, you might not get the little extra gnome guy who follows you around if you don't pre-order and get the extra wallpaper and soundtrack and all the extra maps and extra stuff.
That's another thing. With all the money it costs to make this junk and to form these deals with companies who do pre-orders, it will stop being financially viable for them if people stopped pre-ordering. So those things wouldn't even exist if people weren't pre-ordering in droves.
Thank you for summing up my exact personal opinion on the subject.
As far as the BitTorrent survey goes, I think that's a huge conversation, but we can at least attack it a little bit here. Um, I really personally believe that most people, not being children who don't have an income, or college students who are looking at their college loans and starting to freak out well before they've graduated. For the rest of us folks that are regular working slobs and who go to work, come home, and want to do something, either play a video game or watch a movie or watch a TV show, a lot of people would love to pay for stuff. They would love to give the money where it belongs to the people who made it and the infrastructure which allowed it to be made. But companies don't want to change their strategy. They don't want to change how they deliver content because they can make a lot of money by doing things in an old-fashioned way that people are starting to realize sucks. This whole idea where you can't have a la carte cable, you can't buy an individual episode, you can't get what you want and watch it or listen to it when you want to. iTunes was the pioneer for downloading single songs and downloading just the music you wanted without mumbo jumbo and without having to carry around stuff, because then you could just have all your music on your iPod or your computer and listen to it like you wanted to, not having to take a CD, take it home, rip it or don't or whatever, and futz around with all this junk. We're at the same point with video, and people want to watch the TV shows or movies when they want, how they want it. They don't want to have to be locked into some weird service or whatever. Netflix is the second best runner-up for being locked in because they're very accessible and it works. I remember before Android had a Netflix, public Netflix app, when you only the Netflix app pre-installed on certain phones with the chips inside that allowed them to be locked. And if you rooted your phone, you would no longer be able to watch Netflix. I remember those days, those dark, dark days. And it was not cool. But now, we're getting to the point where pretty much anyone can watch Netflix, so people are being more accepting of it. But now, after Netflix is being popular, after, everyone could watch it when they want, how they want, who knew, companies, these large media companies are looking out and seeing that they're getting a small check from Netflix when they want to get a bigger, huger check from people. But the problem is people don't want to have these funky services. They just want to be able to watch what they want to watch when. And if those things were available and at a reasonable price, because I'm sorry, $30 for a DVD is bogus. And even in brand new DVDs for movies cost way more. If people could watch what they wanted to when they wanted to for a reasonable price, stuff would sell like crazy.
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it. That's exactly what it comes down to. And there's something to be said about BitTorrent users because one is about the convenience. You get what they want when they want it. But they also, in the same vein, they reward the people that they like. Maybe they'll download a album and check it out And if it's a good album, they'll go back and buy it and actually get the artist some money for that album. The survey referred to in Slash Gear's article was actually put out by BitTorrent Inc., the founding company behind the BitTorrent protocol. And it's a small survey. They only surveyed 2,500 users. But of that small collection, 170% were more likely to have paid for digital music in the last month than average consumers. And 50% of those responding said they buy music each month. Over half said that they had paid for a movie in the last month, both physical and digital media. 10% reported even buying vinyl. So that tells you something right there, because nobody's buying vinyl because that's the way they want to get music and see if they like it. You buy a vinyl album because you're committed to an artist and really want that sound.
Two things. First of all, I wanted to mention Louis C.K. A year or two ago, he released one of his stand-ups on his website that you could go and purchase. It was like $5 or $10 or something. Maybe it was 20. I can't remember. Anyways, you could go purchase it, directly download it in a DRM-free format, and it sold really well. And Louis C.K. said, and I quote, he wished to close the gap between how easy it was to steal it versus how easy it was to buy it. And it's just such a smart strategy. And it makes so much sense when you look at it really simply. People want something, they'll buy it if it's reasonable and available.
Yep. That's what this whole issue comes down to, and it makes me so frustrated that something that it can be answered so simply is such a big discussion topic, because it shouldn't be. It is so easy to solve the quote-unquote piracy problem, because if you just made things available in the formats and methods that people want to get their media in, they will buy it. Plain and simple.
Here's the other notable part of this conversation. These production companies and distribution companies are making more money now than they ever have. Ever. They are making more money now than ever. Movies are selling more. People are seeing more movies. They're selling more tickets for a higher price. All these companies are making out like bandits. But then they turn around and say, piracy is screwing us over. It's like, I'm sorry, piracy is not screwing you over. Empirically, it is not. And the idea that it is a lie.
Well, and every time I've heard someone come up with the argument that, oh, we're suffering due to piracy, no one, not a single company, not a single person has been able to show proof that they are losing revenue, losing sales due to piracy, because it simply isn't happening. The people
I will say,
are pirating aren't who. Well, if you're pirating, you're either going to come back and pay for it if you like it, or you are never going to pay for it in the first place.
That is mostly true. I will say, though, that it can be very difficult for some indie developers to make life, to start their career doing what they love. Indie developers and indie and movie enthusiasts to start doing what they love due to piracy in some cases, but they're relatively minor. The last thing I want to say is that the idea that piracy is screwing over large companies is fallacious, and there are countless examples of these companies having no idea what they're saying. Point in case is the I was going to say recent, but it's not really recent anymore. The court case thrown out for a production company suing a group of users for more money than the RIAA has made in total in its entire history. They had some computer program. They wrote a program to project the profits they would have made, quote unquote, without piracy, and they sued for that much. They got thrown out because the amount they were suing for, again, I will say, was more money than the RIAA has ever made since their introduction.
Well, that's because of all the piracy. If there hadn't been piracy, they would have made all that money, obviously.
Sure, sure. And our parents, when they were half our age, weren't making mixtapes and shit.
Oh man, yeah, no. I think you've said all there is to be said because as much as I wanted to discuss this, and this is the exact discussion I wanted to have, the irony of the discussion is that the answer is so simple.
Falls on deaf ears, my friend.
Right? But I think it's largely a generational thing. It's a slow-moving generational thing, but a generational thing all the time, all the anyway. Because eventually, out there in the future somewhere, these old fat cats in the music industry, and the TV, and the movie, and software will retire and die, and hopefully the generation that has grown up in today's society with some semblance of an understanding will take their place and right the ship. But for now, that's mostly just a hope and a dream.
Well, don't worry. Now that HBO is coming out with their streaming service, it's only going to cost whatever it costs a month. Don't worry. NBC, CBS, Fox, they'll all have their own. So instead of paying $80 to your cable company, you'll be paying $80 in $10 chunks to each of these companies.
Well, in a way, I'd be kind of okay with that because there are some that I would pay for and some I would choose to not pay for because I just don't care.
That's true. But imagine what it would be like wanting to watch one show but having to pay for all of them.
Well, that's where we're at now.
Indeed. So is it really a step forward?
Touche. Touche. All right. Well, that all being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up for the evening. We know we're running a little bit long, so get us out of here for tonight. We've both still got dinner to be had anyway. So, any last closing thoughts before we get going?
I'm hungry.
Hungry in the morning, hungry in the evening, hungry at supper time?
Like the wolf.
All right. Well, please check us out at techtwiceweekly.com. We're on Twitter at techtwiceweekly, Facebook techtwiceweekly. I know, shocking. But we'd love to hear from you. If you prefer email, feedback at techtwiceweekly.com. All right. Well, that's everything. The RSS feeds, of course, are on the website, along with links to Stitcher and iTunes and Blueberry and wherever fine podcasts are found. And if we're not in your favorite podcast directory, shoot us an email. Hit us up on Twitter. I would love to get our show added to make it easy for you to listen. So, with that being said, I should share as a small programming note, it is Thanksgiving in the United States next Thursday, this Thursday. So we will not be having a show. I will be busy shoveling turkey and stuffing into my face. But we'll be back on Monday at the latest. I might try and sneak in a headline show on Friday. We'll see how that goes. I haven't been good about doing that in the past when I've wanted to. So we'll see. Don't get your hopes up. But hey, if one shows up in your RSS feed, that means I did it. All right, everybody. Have a good night. Thank you for listening. For Eric Fee, I'm Ben White. We'll catch you next time.